Hi, my friends. I have such a good guest today, a spicy guest, if you may. Bekah Slider. Welcome, Bekah. How are you today?
Thanks. Thanks for having me. I am amazing, actually. I sincerely feel really good today, not just the typical, like, I'm amazing
I'm good.
response. Like, I feel lit up.
Nice, nice.
Yeah.
Well, I can't wait to get into this conversation because I know that you have a really exciting journey that you can share with us, and I'm so interested to like bring that conversation into perimenopause and what you've learned through that too, and how that has like guided your journey. But
Mm.
tell me about yourself.
Yeah, so right now I am a speaker and a coach. Those are the two things I'm most passionate about. I also have a podcast and I'm writing my first book. And I also
Ooh,
have a little side OnlyFans thing I do. But I
nice.
don't know how much longer that will actually be because there's a whole storyline there too, where when something is for play and fun and it starts becoming work, it's like, is it
Mm,
aligned anymore? So we'll
yeah,
see on that end. But yeah, but the biggest thing I think that people get hooked into is the fact that I used to be a pastor.
right.
So
That's pretty key.
that's like a
Yeah.
massive shift and change in my story and kind of in the journey of who I was and who I've become.
Yeah. And how did that happen? You going there and then you leaving that's a very big shift.
It's a huge shift and it's one that like it's always hard to put words around
Hmm.
because the depth of like taking an identity, the only identity you knew, and actually like ripping it apart piece by piece, layer by layer is actually one of the most painful things that anyone can walk through. It truly, truly is. So I grew up conservative Christian.
Hmm.
My dad was a pastor for a little bit of time in my childhood. Walked away from it for a while, but got caught back into it after a really bad relationship. And when I got into it, I met who turned out to be my husband of 22 years, actually. And he was like, "Oh, I want to go into ministry." And I was like, "Eh," but I also didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. So I was like, "Okay, let's just, be the subservient wife and follow our husband's dreams." And so we both ended up going into ministry, not me at first in regards to like on staff, but he got out of the Navy, got his degree, and then went into ministry. And I naturally have a speaking gift and a leadership gift. And so just taking over in different ways, it was like, yes. And the other thing about me is when I dive into something, I don't dive in half-heartedly. I'm full the fuck in. Like, here we go. So that's what happened to me when I came back to Christianity too, is like, this is it. I'm in. I'm fully devoted. This is real. This is my life. This is what every area of my life comes out of. Parenting,
Hmm.
right? Being a wife, being a friend, everything is like stemmed out of that. And so got into that, became a pastor, and I was just like, you you could not have told me hell wasn't real. You could like it was the real deal for me. This was not like I know a lot of people say they're Christians and they have like check in the box, I go to church twice a year or something like that. And that's fine. I don't even have judgment for that. I'm just simply saying this was my life, my waking, breathing life, my relationship with Jesus, all the things. But 2018, I started giving myself permission to ask really hard questions about what I believed and why I believed it. And that ended up launching me into stepping down from ministry, walking away from the church, and then spending a year to deconstruct everything I knew about faith, religion, God, and myself, because
Hmm.
everything that I knew about myself was built on that. And
Yeah.
it was painful and it was lonely and it was like, like I said, it was like ripping layers of flesh off myself. Um, and it's the hardest thing I've ever walked through because I wasn't jumping from that to another identity. There wasn't this like other religion that I was like, oh, now I can like believe these things and I have a sense of belonging. I left all my community. There was no people, there was no certainty. Everything that was safe, everything that felt good and right and belonging was there and I left it for the unknown. And that was one of the bravest decisions, honestly, the bravest decision I think I've ever made in my life. Because at the end of that, it wasn't just, oh, I'm no longer this or that. It was, I found me. I found
Hmm.
me underneath it all. And we're so conditioned to outsource our identity, our power, our knowing, all of who we are, our wants and desires, even to the outside world, to religion, to outside authority, to other people, to comparison of what other people's lives look like. And when you get rid of all of that, you get to come home to yourself. That is the best gift you could ever give yourself.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And I want to talk more about that, but I do want to jump back and just ask two questions. One, was there something that kind of sparked the questioning or something that happened in your life? And two, what did your husband think?
Yeah. So as far as sparking the questions, I think there was always a couple underlying questions or things that I had doubts of, but I would just shove and compartmentalize. One of the strongest ones was the idea that like homosexuality was a sin.
Mm,
So that never sat with me. It's like listed right there beside murder. And now if you do exegesis on the Bible, you can actually see before it was translated, that word was actually not about man and man, woman and woman. It was about men with younger men,
hmm
pedophilia, that type of stuff. But anyway, regardless, there was that always. But then I started seeing a lot of spiritual manipulation happening. And I just started questioning if these are people who really like love Jesus and they know Jesus. And again, doesn't mean you're not human, but if who I've known these people to be real isn't real, what else isn't real? And what else have I not given myself permission to question? And when I got honest, I did not I did not really truly choose Christianity. I was programmed into it. And when I came back to it for myself, it was a trauma response. Not saying everybody this is their experience whatsoever, but it was a trauma response for me into I need something to hold on to. I need safety. I need certainty. And when I started deconstructing kind of the pillars of Christianity as what I knew them to be, what I found, unfortunately, was a religion of fear masked in love,
hmm
right? So the fear of hell, like that's a fear. The idea that like if you do not choose this, you go to hell. The idea that you're born a sinner. So there was just all these staples that for me personally, I could no longer subscribe to because they were not supportive to me and who I wanted to be and how I wanted to choose to live.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel that. I was raised by a single mom, and so we spent a lot of time with my grandparents, and my grandparents definitely went to a conservative Christian church. They had been like in and out of different ones, but at that time they were in that. And so my mom, a single mom, going to that church, we were always kind of like, I felt like we were shunned a little bit. We were definitely different. So it never sat right with me in general. But I loved, like I loved the rituals and
Mm-hmm.
I loved the faith that people had. But there was a lot of doom and guilt and shoulding that was part of that. And I was able to see my grandparents. So, like, I didn't latch on to that at all. But I did see my grandparents take a transformation as the years went on, going from there. They actually moved to Florida. I told you I lived in Florida for a little bit. They started going to a Mennonite church. And it was a very, like, positive, open, like, just like high energy church.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw their views shift on like the world and
Mm-hmm.
races and prejudice that they had and fears that they
Wow.
had, all because this one church was just like, we should love each other. Like we
Mhm.
like if
Yeah.
that's what God is about, that's
Yeah.
what faith should be about, is like accepting each other, helping each other, loving each other. So I was like really glad to see them go through that because I feel like there are a lot of people in your situation where it's like, wait a minute. I am like supposed to be loving this religion, and yet this religion doesn't love everybody, and that just seems weird
Mhm.
to me.
Yeah. And just the like the nuance of it too, because I would have told you I loved everyone, right?
Yeah.
I would have said that. I would have said that like the phrase is like hate the sin, not the sinner. There's
Mm,
just so many things that were nuanced that made you feel like, no, this is good. But unfortunately, you could still see the underlying judgment that just was there. And I agree with you. I think the message of any like of anything in regards to faith, God, etc., should just be love. Like that's it.
yeah.
Like that's it. That's all there is. And I think there's also an interesting take on a moral high ground of religion in general,
Mhm.
where people think that in order to be a moral person, to have values, to be good and to like be good to humanity, you have to have religion or find God. What's interesting is I'm not atheist at all. I definitely still believe in a higher power, but like I know atheists and people who
Mhm.
do not subscribe to any religion, and they're some of the kindest, truest,
Yeah.
realest people I've ever met. So that's another thing that I think is just kind of manipulated in that way too. And it's like, no, no.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. So I've learned a lot about the Bible growing up. Like we went there every Sunday, even though, my mom and I weren't crazy about it. We went every Sunday. So I do know some about the Bible, and I'm also an English teacher, and I'm like, these are stories. That's what these are. These are stories.
Yeah.
And so you can take stories different ways. And um, I just feel like I do believe there's a higher power. I believe that she is probably amazing. And I
Amen.
believe in Mother Nature and the
Yeah.
universe and all that kind of good stuff.
Same.
So
Same.
what a transformation you went through to even now you have Home of the Untamed Woman. So
Yeah.
yeah, keep talking.
Yeah, so I've always been a rebel at heart. I mean, even when I was in the Christian realm, there was always this edge to me of like, I'm a rule breaker. I don't like, like test the edge. Now, I never went past what would be considered acceptable per se, but people saw me as like, she's fucking bold, she's courageous, etc. Um, but then once I deconstructed, got out of that, I'm like, who am I? Like, who am I? There is still that edge to me, but now it was like, I am lying to myself about where I say I don't care about
Mhm.
what people think. I've been lying to myself about saying, like, oh, I don't really want these things. I'm content with this. I've been lying to myself about how, like, this is a good enough marriage. I've
Mhm.
been lying to myself. And when you get really raw and honest, that will wreck you. But then you have a choice. You reach a choice point. And you have to ask yourself, do I keep going in this timeline where I'm choosing the good enough of life, the settling, the
Mhm.
yeah, it looks like I am speaking my truth, like I am confident. People would have always told you I'm confident. But what's underneath it? Where are the subtle negotiations that are happening with myself on a daily basis? I am loyal to an old identity. And if I want to choose this new identity of who I'm saying I want, then I have to also choose to be loyal to her day in and day out. And that's where things was like, oh, shit, what does this look like? What
Yeah.
does this look like? And that's where I started giving myself permission because when you deconstruct, truly deconstruct the core of your identity, like I said before, it impacts all areas. So now I'm deconstructing my marriage, deconstructing sexuality and shame around that, deconstructing parenting, deconstructing the way I view money and my desires around money, deconstructing my power because power, we were taught, you know, power is dangerous. Your
Mhm.
desires are dangerous. Be good over speaking truth. Like all of these things that it's not just church. This is the cultural stigma, the cultural undercurrent of most of us as women. And you start getting to, like, again, like the perimenopause phase. I'm 44, and it's like, what the, what the hell is this life? Do I want this life? But again, this is kind of where I see a lot of women in my world. They're like, okay, I'm going to choose me. I'm going to choose me. And they do make some choices, right, that are
Mhm.
like radical or shift things or change, or they start speaking their truth more. But it's kind of like what I was saying before, where it gets to like a threshold, and then they're
Mhm.
like, okay, and they're still settling for good enough.
Mhm.
And now they're not even being honest about it. And that's where it's like, no, because your best life, your most powerful self, and the mission you came here for is on the other side of that threshold.
Yeah.
But it's not about making the choice, it's about staying loyal to the woman who made it in the first place.
Yeah. Yeah, that resonates so much. Just not being good enough is a huge thing that I try to talk about. I love that. How do you help women with this? Because, like you said, this is a total deconstruction. This is scary. This is hard. How do you help women?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, it's also knowing the women coming into my world. Because if women are coming out of like trauma or really bad, like narcissistic abuse, different things like that, where they might need therapy first, like I'm not the best for them
Hmm.
because even though I will love the shit out of you as my client, I will also not co-sign your excuses. I will
Hmm.
not let you negotiate yourself out of your greatness. So there is an aspect of challenge and holding you to the power I know is within you. And you know too, or you went to come to work with me, right? So it's like, okay, I know you know that, then now we're going to freaking go. So then it's getting clear multiple different ways. One, who is the version of you that knows and what do they know? And two, what does it feel like to sit in the identity that's still negotiating her power? So somatically, I think it's important to feel because when we feel our most powerful self and we're choosing, there's like this like fuck yes. Yes, I am her. Like, I can do this. I like, you have this vision for your life, you have this energy, but that is not the hardest part for most women. Something hits us in our 40s and we're like, oh, F the world. We're not putting up with this anymore, which is so great. But how do you keep choosing? How do you keep
Mhm.
choosing her? How do you keep staying loyal to her? It's in the nuance, it's in the small moments. And so it's in the daily activation of standing in that place where you're going to remain loyal to her, whether that's through like little somatic exercises, whether that's through community, which is a huge one, right? That's so necessary where you're with women who are not going to let you negotiate out of it. Not just like a coach, but I mean just a group rallied around women like that. We're like, no, you said this. This is what you said your goal is. And I don't even like goals because it separates you from the end. It's like, no, 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 this is who you are now. So it's less about becoming someone new. I don't teach women how to become someone new. It's more about remembering who the hell they are right now
Mm.
because you're already her,
Yeah.
right? But we're just in the practice of negotiating our choices away, negotiating our loyalties away. So that's awesome because if we're in the practice of that, we're already good at practicing shit. We can just change that and start practicing and repetition around this energy of like, no, this is who I am, this is who I be, this is how it works. We also have a very, this is just in general, but I think women who are doing this, we also have this like, yeah, but the 3D, the reality, the circumstances aren't showing me. Like I made the choice and I'm like holding on to it, but I'm waiting and it's not happening. Well, first of all, you haven't made the choice because if you're waiting, if you already
Mhm.
chose something, you're not waiting. You just know it's done, right? A queen on her throne is not like, I'm commanding this to happen. And then every 5 minutes, is it going to happen? Are we checking up on it? We're not doing that, right? The queen on her throne is like, this is happening. Doesn't matter what the timing is. She's not concerned about that. She knows it's done because she put the command in. We think reality shows us proof that we can make the choice. That is not how it works. We make the choice, we hold the choice, and reality starts bending around us. But too many of us are like, evidence. Is it? I don't know. Right? And we're in and out
Yeah.
and we're in and out.
Yeah.
And so the practice is simply standing in the power, in the choice, the loyalty to that woman every single day. And it
Mhm.
sounds like it's a lot, but it's actually not. It's just in like small little ways, small little moments. And again, like I said, the community aspect is huge.
Yeah, definitely having support is huge. It's funny, I was just did a reel yesterday about like a hot take on doing the thing versus mindset. Like a lot of people like, oh, get the mindset and then you'll do the thing. I'm
Hmm.
like, no, do the thing. I'm like, do the thing and the
Yes.
mindset will follow you. And I think a lot of that for me has come during perimenopause because you get to reflect back on your 20s and your 30s and all the growing and all the
Mhm.
learning that you did and really take that time to reflect and be like, wait a minute. Who is it that I want to be for my next 40 years? Like, what am I going into this? And you have a lot of hormones and you have a lot of emotions and you have a lot of things going on. And you're like, I'm not going to live my life like this anymore. I'm going to be my best self so that I can live this life the way I want. And I think perimenopause, like, that's a good thing. There's some things that are really hard about it, but that's a good thing.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with you completely because choice is the ultimate disruptor, right?
Hmm.
We're sitting here, like you said, waiting on like, I'll just affirm it 20,000 times. Or even what you also see, unfortunately, in the personal development world, and I was totally guilty of this for quite a while too, is you can go from mindset of just like affirm, 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 change your mind, reframe all the things, or you can pendulum swing over to nervous system work. That is also good stuff, but we can get into the place where now we're coddling our nervous system every day.
Yeah.
Make sure your nervous system is regulated. 20 steps to regulate your nervous system. Nothing's going to manifest until you regulate your nervous system. I'm going to call bullshit on that because what the truth is that your nervous system is the most intelligent thing on this earth and it has so much capacity. So we feel edge, discomfort. We're like, oh, and then we're like, this must mean I need to regulate. What if it just means you're expanding? What if it just means this is just the final feeling, sensation, overwhelm before the next level clicks in? Can we
Hmm.
hold it then? Can we feel it and not have it to cause us to contract and shrink? Right? Can we sit in that sensation? Because it's all a sensation. I start flirting with my sensations in my body, the anxiety and like the, oh my God, the energy. I stop, I shut the head up for a minute and I'm like, where do I feel this? Where do I feel this? Ooh, hey, you. Hey, a little doubt, anxiety. And I like befriend it because it's not something to have us stop doing, right? There, again, there are big things that happen that are, insane life events, things that, okay, that's different. But on a day-to-day basis, that is not what we are dealing with as women who are saying yes to our next level. We're dealing with the nuance of negotiating ourselves out of the identity we already said yes to.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, again, just like at my age, I turned 50. Um, we're having this conversation in June, so in less than a month, I turned 50.
Happy
And
birthday!
thank you. And I think that I can just, it's easier to reflect back and be like, you know what? Nervous system, I know you got me because I have done all these hard things. Look at what the hard things I have done. Some of them like boggle my mind that I'm like, I can't believe I did that. I can't believe I did that. But I did, and I'm still here. So I can do hard things.
Oh
So
yeah.
getting up and, moving my body every day, that's not a hard thing.
Mm-mm.
Getting up and being true to myself, that's not a hard thing anymore. And really being able to wrap my head around that is much easier now.
Yeah, I love
Hmm.
that. It's so wild too when we can look for evidence as to the identity we've chosen. Like if you're a person who brushes and flosses your teeth every night, and that's just what you do, right? You don't think about it. You're just like, this is what I freaking do. You don't think about it. It's what you do because it's on repetition. There are other
Hmm.
people who do not brush and floss their teeth every night. The identity is I don't brush and floss my teeth every night. It's negotiable, right? These are the small things that we don't realize, Nick. You are so much more powerful than you think. We like to give ourselves out, but the truth is that we're choosing every day and we're really damn good at choosing.
Hmm.
So, how can we practice the repetition of choosing loyalty to the woman who's making the choices for her best self to say yes to all the parts of her that are already ready to fucking go? They're ready to go. They're
Yeah.
ready.
And what I have learned, and I'm feeling this from you too, as I started choosing myself more and being true to myself, I saw the reflection in my family 100%. So, I have to go back to that question, like, what happened with your husband?
Oh, yes. I'm so sorry. I completely forgot you said
No.
that. Yeah. So he ended up also stepping down. He also was
Mhm.
having some like questions and just like, and some, just permission to ask those questions. He ended up stepping down as well. He also realized it wasn't actually his passion. He had been told his whole childhood, you have a calling on your life. You're meant to be a pastor. You're meant to be blah, blah, blah. And so again, when you're young, you're just like, and then you feel like you're running away from God if you don't answer the call, right?
Yeah.
So he realized he's like, that was actually bullshit. Like that's not what lights me up the most. Like, so he stepped down from that. He deconstructed a bit. I think for him, I'm a deep dive, right? I said, whatever I'm loyal to, I'm like, I'm going all the way in. So that's why I deconstructed and it ended up all the areas. That didn't happen for him as much. And then over the next few years, we kind of realized like this this marriage, we got married at 21, and
Hmm.
you don't know yourself then, and you certainly don't know who you're going to be 7 years, let alone 20. And it was like this isn't supportive to who we are individually and where we're headed. And the parts of us that work so well have become a band-aid for the parts of us that don't.
Yeah.
And so I ended up being the one to, ask for a divorce. But we're still
Hmm.
friends. Like there's no
Hmm.
drama between us. I think to your point about this idea of like when you start like looking at all the areas of your life it impacts, whether again, he was not like super happy that I was like, oh, I want a divorce, right? He kind of wanted it to stay, but like we had been working on it 3 years and it was like, no, I don't even want to be married ever again, personally. Like that's just not something I see in my future. I don't know that he could see it for a while. I think he sees it now. But I knew I was handing him freedom as well. Because the opposite would be staying in a marriage where I was doing it out of obligation, out of, the stigma of what could happen if you divorce, all those things, out of settling for good enough, feeling like I was suffocating. And I would grow resentful of him. And he would be trying to make something work that was never going to work. And then what life is that to give him? That's not
Right.
right. And then with my kids, it was like me choosing myself was the best gift to them too. Because you know what happened when I stopped having an agenda for their life? And what I mean by agenda is I wasn't super controlling as a mother at all, but for me in Christianity, the agenda was I need them. Like need, because heaven and hell were real to me, okay? I need them to know Jesus. I need them to know Jesus. They don't have to like be perfect or anything. It was never like that, but it was like because I need to know that they're going to go to heaven. I need to know that I did my job. Oh my God, once that was squashed and that didn't exist anymore, I'm like, oh, all I want for them is for them to know themselves,
Mm.
for them to find themselves, for them to like explore this life and this journey as an adventure and figure out what lights them up. And they're going to have stuff that happens that isn't ideal, and that's just what it is. And they get to have those as opportunities to grow and evolve. And like, that's it. I want them to know and love themselves. So now there's not this like agenda anymore. It doesn't feel like that anymore. Me choosing myself was literally the best gift I could give my family. It was the best gift I could give the world around me. And it was obviously the best gift I could give me. And
Mm.
it doesn't come without a cost. I don't even have a relationship with any of my other family members. I have four siblings, I have parents. Like, there's nothing there. Once I walked away from Christianity, a lot of things fell apart there. I lost all my community from church. Like, I had to rebuild from nothing.
Mhm.
There was a great cost. And yet, I would choose it again over and over again because the price that I paid was nothing compared to the invaluable, like, experience and love I have for myself of knowing who I am, of choosing who I am day in and day out. It's a
Mhm.
completely different life.
Yeah, that's amazing. And it's just so grateful to you that you help women with this.
Mm.
Um, because again, like you're saying, it is hard. It is deconstructing a lot. So that you have a community where you help women with this is amazing. And you are writing a book and you have the podcast. And I watch you on Instagram and you have some great stuff on there to help women. So I appreciate that very much.
Thanks.
Um, is there something right now in as you're starting into perimenopause or you're in the middle of it that you didn't think was going to happen but has really been benefited you?
Mm. I think the my hormones have started getting a little crazy, and I
Mhm.
feel like the past 2 years especially, my emotions have been more like volatile, not so much anger, but like the it's almost like I start feeling like, why am I doubting myself more? Why am I like all over the place? And it's not the whole month. Again, it's always in these certain
Yeah.
phases. And I didn't really ever talk to a lot of people about perimenopause or what that would be like or experience like. I knew your hormones change. A lot of women though, they talk about hot flashes. That's like the
Mhm.
main thing I ever
Right.
hear, right? It's hot flash that. And I haven't had any of those, but I am like, okay, that's fine. I can deal with hot flashes when they come. But it's been the emotional ups and downs and like how do I navigate this and not let it take me out? How do I navigate this and let it be an experience I'm having versus who I am, right? And
Mhm.
start dictating now what is true, what is not true. And so I think what I've had to learn is I can typically pinpoint, ovulation. You need to chain me to a tree so I don't go make a bad decision, or, or I am like emotional and like and then PMS now is so intense of like, burn it all down, right?
Mhm. Yes, I
It
feel
is
that.
really crazy how intense it's gotten. And so now it's been a gift though. I don't love it. I'm not loving it, but the gift is having to become more intentional about separating myself from
Mhm.
what's happening and letting myself have the day of like, oh, this is a shit show day. We're not
Yeah.
going to try to fucking fight it and change it and make ourselves like back in the moment. We're going to
Mhm.
choose tomorrow. Today, we just need to freaking take a bath. We need to do things to take care of the body. The
Yeah.
body is having a hard time. My human is having a hard time. My higher self, okay, she knows that she's got this, but like we don't need to try to gaslight or like get her to think differently that today or get her to do differently. There has to be more grace for our bodies. And that's what I didn't have to experience so much prior to this. And that's what's definitely, it's been a ride, but I'm seeing, it's like I said about repetition, right?
Yeah.
Last year was rough, but this year I'm seeing a lot more traction in those moments and like the nuance of like, ooh, oh, I know what this is. Oh, and what would have taken me a whole day to realize like, oh, okay, maybe I can just give myself, now it's like hours or minutes. And I'm like, oh, this is that, this is that thing.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I know when I first started, like the emotions was the first thing that really led me into perimenopause or like clued me in.
Yeah.
And they were very extreme. I thought I was crazy. Like I am losing my mind and I don't like myself.
Yeah.
So how does everybody else even like me? And grace is definitely one of the things that helped me. I have a thing called 5Gs that have really helped me. So, and grace is definitely one of them. Like letting go of a lot of the things that I thought I had to
Mm,
be in control of or
mm,
I should do has helped a lot.
yeah.
Grit is definitely another one. Gratefulness. Glee, finding fun again can be really
Yes.
hard. And then the gal gang, like the community. So those are
Mm,
my five G's
I
that have
love
really
that.
helped me in the last 10 years for sure.
That's so
Um,
good. Those are all important.
yeah, and I think as women, lots of times we think of grace as almost like being lazy or,
Mm,
you know, all those negative things. And sometimes your body is just screaming at you like, "Hey, can you chill out?"
yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I would always ask my clients because I have a few clients who like they work in corporate or right, they can't
Hmm.
just like I have the ability to kind of move my schedule a bit and
Yeah.
they don't. And so it's really asking what does your body need and what does
Mhm.
the business need? Where are
Yeah.
the ways you can compromise so that you can still give your body what you need and still give the must do's or whatever for the business, but like truly take care of yourself first and foremost and not look at it as like, oh, something's wrong with me. I'm broken. I'm messed up. Like this is a weakness. It's not a weakness. Your body is evolving, changing, moving, and you get the ability to hold more capacity for it and love yourself even more. It's like a deeper level of self-acceptance. What a
Yeah.
gift.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. One question I always ask everybody that comes on is how do you nurture yourself? Because my podcast is Nurture Herself. What do you do something on the daily that just to take care of yourself?
To nurture myself and take care of
Mhm.
myself. Yeah, so for me, it is for me, my soul contract, when I look at it, it says I came here for power. So the things that really help me, and this isn't always when I'm in the emotional state, this doesn't necessarily play out so much, but like on a daily basis, just the average day, I get in a place where I am listening to something, oftentimes my own voice, and I am reminding myself who I am, who I'm choosing to be, who I'm staying loyal to. And also the reality around me. Again, like it's changing. Like I can command things to change and they have to change. But again, it's holding that choice. What I've realized is that for me, the power part for me is a big deal because when I choose myself in that power, everything I feel filled up and then everything overflows into that. And I'm able to just like give and like support people and coach people in a way that's like yes, coming from overfill, not from, oh, what should I say? I don't know how to say it. It's like, no, I'm remembering who I am so I can be a mirror to them. Because the other thing that, again, nurtures me is the reflection back. I'm a
Mhm.
projector in human design. And so when people are like seeing me and they're like, oh, I see you, and they're validating like the gifts inside of me, that's a double fill up for me then. I'm like, oh, and then I have even more to give. So, like, for me, I've noticed that that's something that's not a typical like nurture thing, but I've noticed for my system, I don't think it's for everybody's. That's something that makes a world of difference on a daily basis for me.
Yeah, I think stepping into your power on a daily basis is definitely nurturing yourself for sure.
Yeah.
However you do that, however it looks like, yeah, we should be
Yeah.
doing that every day. I like for me every day in the morning, I make sure I just stop and I like take some deep breaths and just feel myself. I'm also a Reiki master, so I usually give myself a little bit of Reiki in the morning. That is me stepping into my power. That is me like just being like, I got this day. I got
Yeah.
this, and I'm gonna go
Yep.
out there and do it. So I 100% agree with you for sure.
Yeah. So freaking good.
Yeah. Yeah. So I know that you have the Home of the Untamed Woman. Is there anything else that you'd like? Can you give us a glimpse of your book? Anything else you want to talk about?
Yeah, so my book it should be out in the fall, winter time this year. It is a memoir slash inspiration, personal development. It's a lot of stories from my life
Yeah.
with humor because, like, as you get to know me, I'm like actually quite ridiculous and goofy. Um, but then also like the things that I learned and the things that I didn't know then and now know. And then at the end of each chapter is a letter to someone or something, like my 8-year-old self, my mother, money, my body, and just like they're like I won't want to say the word heavy, but they're like, oof, like women are going to read this and it's going to hit them in the heart.
Oh,
So yeah, that's that. I'm really excited about that. It just feels like legacy for me. It's always something that I've wanted to do even for my children, just like
yeah.
having something like that.
Yeah.
I was telling my son, he's 19. I was like, yeah, I wrote a chapter today. I'm so excited about blah, blah, blah. I was like, I love the things I'm sharing. I realized how ridiculous, this is what I said to him. I realized how ridiculous the story of losing my virginity was. Like, it's so ridiculous. And he was like, I don't want to hear it. I was like, that's fine, but it's not a big deal. Like, you're 19. I think one day he won't care. It won't be so much. I'm just like, it's just a
Right,
phone.
right.
But
It's like
yeah,
I'm gonna skip that
yeah, I'm
chapter.
gonna skip that. I hear that. And then the other thing you asked about, like other things that I'm
Yeah.
into talking about, is the Liberation Lounge. That's my monthly, I call it membership. It's more of an experience. It's really kind of what I talked about. It's for women who you're a powerhouse. You know, you're ambitious, you're doing the thing. And also you can see where you're negotiating yourself out of the decisions that your powerful self made, right? So it's a mix of group coaching, audio drops, because I love doing like quick punches to keep people like lock back in, right? Lock back into yourself, lock back in. But
Yeah.
then the engagement and the community is actually to me the most powerful thing because it's not just me holding women to the standard they're saying yes to, it's all of us holding each other. And
Mm-hmm.
you can't, like, I just think we can't do it without that. We're not meant to. And it's
Mm-hmm.
so beautiful when you see women who are like, vulnerable as hell. They're like, ah, da, da, da. But then other women are like, yeah, but yeah, and this and this and this. And then next day, it could be the opposite. The other women are like, and so everyone is just like, we're human and also we're
Yeah.
choosing and we're choosing and we're going to keep choosing again and again.
Mm.
Yeah.
That's the community I love. That's
Yeah.
perfect. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'll definitely have links for all of that below so that people can get into your world. But thank
Awesome.
you so much for this conversation. I knew it was going to be fun and exciting. So uh,
Yeah.
you definitely delivered. Thank you so
Thanks
much.
for having me.
Yeah. So thank you guys for listening so much. Like I always say, choose yourself, and I love you. Get into Becca's world. You are definitely going to need her and her community in your world. So thank you guys. I'll talk to you next week.